Hope everybody, is having a good day today. I dreamed a very bizarre, very vivid dream last night. It was like real. Haven't had one like this vivid in quite a few years. So we'll just get right into it because I feel that it was a pretty serious dream. And June 23rd, 2018, I dreamed that it was a Saturday and it was midday, around the middle of the day. And I had been to a place in my town called Ridgewood. And I was headed east. The road, was on a hill, and then you go down it, there's a ditch and a valley, and then it goes up on top of the hill and dead ends. And then I said, no, I won't go that way because the bulldogs are down there, and the Bible, David said to beware of dogs. And so I turned back up, never going into the valley. Well, I looked up the hill to a house that I knowed probably 30 years ago. And I said, there's the Cobbs. And, I saw one of the Cobbs outside and remembering things 30 years ago. And it was weird, all I could remember was she wasn't mad anymore. And all they said was, hi Chad, I haven't seen you since you were a kid. And then I just thought to myself, that was age 5 that went through my mind. And then they said, you haven't seen me since I was 5. They actually said it. And they were very glad to see me. Well, after that, the dream changed to a church gathering, still midday on a Saturday, and the weather was sunny. And there was a lot of people there, at least 100, in that room. That church gathering, it was like a potluck. And everyone was eating and happy, and everything was normal. Well, then this one person said, they won't even know it, but they're bringing in the nukes tomorrow. And then there was a pause, and then the same person said, even the big silver ones. And at this gathering, they said the bait sales will be high. And Sunday, church is fixing to let out, and it will be real busy with everyone wanting to go fishing. And it was like in the dream, everyone was wanting to do commerce, do their routines, just get out of church real quick and go do their thing. And also just go fishing as a hobby was mentioned, but not fishing for God. And then another person said this, the nukes, they will sound just like insects, or chirping insects, as the nukes make sounds and go unnoticed. And I heard a sound, like bugs chirping on a summer night. Well, what I think that's referring to is like an example. I can't tell you what number it is. It'd be example like a Bible verse and say, I saw 3 unclean spirits like frogs come out of the pit. And, referring like it, the locusts, will attack men 5 months. I feel it's pointing in that direction. I may be wrong. Take it to God in prayer. Don't seek Chad. I'm not perfect. So I left the gathering. I came home and the weather was still sunny. It was probably anywhere from 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And so downstairs I saw a guy fishing in the breezeway. And in my dream, the breezeway, you know, was a stream. You know, it was flooded. A trout stream ran through it, and he was fishing for rainbow trout. And the place was also a parking garage, you know, under where we were living. and he had this long fishing pole. You know, if you want to look at it, it's a fishing pole that looks like, you know, the jig for crappie, you know, one real long jigging pole, fishing pole like that. You know, handheld rod and reel, like, you know, and he was fishing for rainbow trout. You know, a rainbow represents, you know, God's covenant, and, you know, fishing souls, which are fish, out for his kingdom. And so I walked up to him, and then I said this. I said, you need to be aware you'll hear a noise. And then it gets attacked. You know, meaning the area I was in got attacked. And then I said, you won't even know ISIS is in the woods. And I said, you'll just hear a noise, and when you do, that's it. And then, you know, several hours passed, and I went back to the place, and he was still fishing, you know, for trout, you know, in the breezeway, you know, downstairs. And I said, do you hear the insects chirping? And you didn't even know the attackers were in the woods. And the fisherman looked and said, like, I don't know. Well, then I said, right outside, they're right outside in the woods now, and nobody knows. Get ready. And I said, you'll hear a noise. And exactly what that noise was exactly, I don't know. I think it was referring to the insect chirping. You'll hear a noise. It was like different or something. I don't know. Well, about that time out of the woods, I mean, it was probably within 10 seconds. I saw, I mean, men everywhere, just all of a sudden, military men, and the attackers came out of the woods, and they all had machine guns, and this was within like a 10-second, this elapsed, and probably before 12 seconds, about 2 more seconds, they just started machine gun fire. Bullets were flying, you know, and I saw them hitting the concrete wall. You know, behind me, bullets were flying all around me, and some hit me, but what was funny is I didn't feel any pain, and they didn't affect me. Well, then, as I did not look back, I knew that I was leaving my body. And then I said real loud, like 7 to 8 times, not even looking back to see the attackers again. And then I said real boldly and loud, I am saved by the blood of the Lamb. Like yelling, and then I said, I am saved by the blood of the Lamb. 7 or 8 times I said that. So then I was also coming out of my body more, and as I had been shot, well, in this dream I had been shot probably 20 times. I mean, about 20 bullets, and, you know, big rounds like, you know, a 30-06 or something like that would shoot, as you know, about what size these rounds were, you know, that were coming out of these machine guns in this dream. And about 20 of them had hit me, and they didn't have any effect on me. And then I said, this is it. I am really going home, meaning that this life was over. I was going to heaven. And then I said, I am saved by the blood of the Lamb. And I was just leaving the ground, and the next thing I know is I realized I was up off the ground, just flying out of that place, kind of down a hall. And then I said, I will see Jesus Christ on this one. This is it. Don't look back. I kept, you know, just flying, as my body, my physical body in the dream lost blood, and I was going into another world, and you know, the spirit, you know, all of a sudden became very pleasant, and it was like I couldn't remember anything bad I had done. I was just happy, and it was like, oh yes, we're going home. We're finally free now. There's nothing, you know, there's nothing else, and, you know, a real happy spirit, you know, overwhelmed me, you know, as I started coming out of my body, you know, just floating, you know, down this hall, fixing to go home. And, and you know, the blood loss was making me lose physical consciousness in the dream as what was happening. And then I said, you know, again, a bunch more time, I am saved by the blood of the Lamb. And I kept yelling as I floated, I am saved by the blood of the Lamb. Saved. Saved by the blood of the Lamb. And it was real late afternoon, about an hour before dark, and I woke up. That's the most vivid dream I have had in many, many, many years. Well, I dreamed another dream, you know, about something, you know, happening in the same area. The swimming pool in our area has been closed, and we hadn't been able to use it. And I know that I dreamed, it was probably 2 weeks ago, that just showed up, and I saw all the big pine trees had been blown down and snapped off and were laying across the pool. And then a voice said, Chad, there's a 100-mile-an-hour windstorm. A 100-mile-an-hour windstorm did that, snapped all these trees. And just remember, you know, Jesus healed, I can't think of who it was, healed that one in the pool. And you know, pool is a place of washing, so you know it's parabolic. You know, the pool being closed, you know, represents that the religious community basically has shut off, you know, the avenue or the path to cleansing and washing and healing. And, you know, the number 100 has to do, I think, with promise. And, you know, I've dreamt probably since 2011 to now. I have probably had more than 100 dreams, you know, pointing to a 100-mile-an-hour windstorm. And 8 or 9 of them, you know, it showed up as a tornado coming through. And I'm just saying the suddenness of it was real quick. Just be ready. And yeah, the devil has been attacking, you know, my mind and all kind of stuff. And there's been a lot of delays and stuff. And I admit, you know, that I have a fleshly body just like everybody else. And I'm tempted to sin. And I have, and admit it, I have failed in, you know, my flesh. And, you know, when there's been delays before, you know, I've said words that I shouldn't say, and I'm honest about it. But, you know, I repented of it, and I told God that I was sorry. And I failed, you know, a bunch of times, but I repented. And, you know, Jesus forgive a person, you know, like, I can't think of the number, but, you know, 470 times 7, you know, times 7. And, you know, even 49 times forgive a minute day. It just means that His grace, you know, He paid the price. And He'd rather forgive than see the judgment. But the thing with these delays, as this has hit my spirit, is, you know, the devil's having a lot of people distracted by that stuff, and they'll think, oh, Jesus, they delayeth the coming, and oh, nothing's going to happen, and then boom, and you know, God don't want anybody caught off guard. He wants as many souls won to His kingdom as possible. And he wants everybody to go to heaven and not hell. And, you know, they've said peace and safety this week, and been delays in the Mideast peace deal, but I had that dream on March 17th of this year that said Trump divided, you know, Trump reaches Mideast peace deal, and, you know, and that stuff. That was a big earthquake, and that one tore, you know, literally the hell out of everything. It's reduced to rubble. Now, I've just had a lot of dreams of a lot of severe things going on, and, you know, 100-mile-an-hour windstorm, tornadoes, earthquakes, and, you know, now, you know, a sudden military attack, and a lot of people getting hurt because they let down their guard and they weren't looking. Just remember, always look for the Lord Jesus Christ, and I'm one of the worst ones. You know, I've sinned in my words, sinned in my flesh, sinned in my thoughts. I'm not worthy, but just remember the basic childlike thing. I am saved by the blood of the Lamb. And you got to believe that only His shed blood is sufficient. And nothing else will do. But you believe you're saved by the blood of the Lamb. The only thing that'll get rid of your sin, you can go home to heaven and not hell. Everybody have a blessed day. And that dream really got my attention. That was very vivid. And best wishes.